All right, good morning. Greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. We got a special guest with us here today on Lions Talk Live. We got Kurt the Hitman Steele coming at us, going to give us some inside information and lowdown on a few topics here today. Before we get into that, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, why the heck not? If you go ahead and hit that button on your screen and you're subscribed, also hit that like button. And now let's get into the show. So, as you're probably seeing from the thumbnail, Big Bad Brad, he's been working the phones a little bit, and apparently even Thursday during the Green Bay game, Brad Holmes was working the phones with a couple different people. I have done some diving into it, and it sounds like Brad Holmes talked to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans about a couple potential defensive ends / tackles. I have not been able to confirm the third team, so we'll have to speculate on that at this time. But Kurt, let me ask you, with this information, what do you think this says about Brad Holmes and what he's trying to do with the team going into really the meat of the season?
I just think they're always trying to improve the roster. You can never be they have this mantra they can never settle. Like, when you be comfortable being uncomfortable. And they want to get the best players on this roster that fit the need. You look at what's going on with the defensive line, even though they have an uptick in play the last two games, they're just looking to get better. And I'm sure that they may be looking at defensive line, like the Donkey Kong said, maybe some offensive linemen or some depth. But I look at this, the trenches on both sides of the ball, and I'm liking what I'm seeing by Detroit. But Brad Holmes said, hey, you can always be better.
Yeah, it seems to be the mantra of Brad Holmes and MCDC. Just that they're not going to ever stop trying to improve the team, especially Holmes as a general manager seems to always be on the phone looking for value. I'm going to murder the names, so forgive me. The Pittsburgh guy, I got to look up his name, but boy, yeah, guys, everybody in the chat, just forgive me, but his last name is Obabayu, if I'm saying that even remotely closely. And then from Tennessee, oh boy, I got to look back. I believe it was
Simmons, correct?
Simmons. Yep. There we go. So sorry, it's morning and I don't have all my notes all set up. But both of these guys, in my opinion, are vastly different. Obayu, it looks like he's more of a backup, a sound one. He does have some good pressures. He plays the run well. Where Simmons, he just seems like a legit beast. And I think most NFL fans, if you're more than just a Lions fan, are aware of who he is.
Right.
But with that being said, Hitman, what do you got? What do you look at when you see these two options?
You look at Simmons, space eater, can get, rush the passer. He would definitely work well with Aleem McNeil. My issue is he just signed a big contract. So what is that going to mean for our salary cap? To take on that contract if he comes over to Detroit, and what is the compensation that he's going to be asking for a player of his caliber? For the other guy, ironically, he reminds me of Isaiah Buggs. Isaiah Buggs came over from the Steelers. We kind of grabbed him from there. So depth guy, and I like how Isaiah Buggs has came on in the past couple games. I'm not sure it's an upgrade for the other guy from the Steelers. So the upgrade will be Simmons, but at what cost would it be to the Lions?
So here's a thought, and I'll throw it at you and everybody in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts on this. Does this, if a move like this were to come to fruition, does this mean that Levi Onwuzurike is out of the mix? Because to be honest, I don't really remember hearing too much about him in the recent weeks.
I watched the film. I just watched some highlights of the game in Green Bay, and I saw him on one play. I didn't even realize he was in on the tackle, and it was when Isaiah Buggs had Aaron Jones by the hand, and when they converged, it was actually Onwuzurike who got him down to the ground. But that was the highlight I saw of him. I didn't really see him in the Atlanta game. I'm glad he's healthy, but
Right.
It's not producing. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's one of those, where they tried it earlier with keeping Buggs on the bench, but now Buggs coming in, he's producing. Onwuzurike is kind of falling down by the wayside. So it may be a move on from him, like you said, or maybe just a time for them to say, hey, man, it's time to, maybe he's a trade piece for somebody else. So.
Yeah, and the infamous one, Don Burr in the chant, Simmons
What's up,
definitely
Don?
cost a second, a third at least. Yeah, I would agree. He's a legit player. So we'll see what happens. But if nothing else, maybe Brad Holmes just doing his due diligence, looking for some options for the team. So with that being said, I know I put it into the comment section in our Lions reporter group chat yesterday around whatever time, noon, 12:30. Then I had gotten some information about Jameson Williams being cleared to return, and not just return, but also play. And I know because of confidentialities, I couldn't put full disclosure in the chat. But what do you think this means to the Lions? I mean, the next couple opponents, I think it would be safe to say, seem favorable. Is this an ideal setup for when he could return?
Yes, actually it does for me, because you have the opportunity to ease him back in instead of just throwing him to the wolves. You have two opponents that we have a favorable matchup in the next two games. So I'm looking at that where we can just ease JMO back in, and then we can you're looking at we're looking at Baltimore, where he's out there stretching the defense and making it hard for the double teams for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Teams are focusing on him, but it's going to be hard to double team guys when you have a guy outside like a Jameson Williams that can take the top off of defense. So it's going to open up the offense. But like I said, Eric Schlitt had a good breakdown over at Pride of Detroit. So go check that out, man, about what it means for Jameson Williams' return. And one of the things he said was, definitely it gives the Lions the opportunity to ease him back into the offense and not just throw him back in there full tilt. So when you put the news out there, man, and I was like taking a nap, but I just happened to wake up and see, I'm like, what's going on with JMO? And shout out to the Players Association. They had to push that to get the league to overturn or change that policy where it was just too strict, especially for nine NFL games.
Right. And I guess without doing a deep dive on the topic, when I got the wind of the information, I did ask some questions. It sounds like, I think it would be fair to say that the NFLPA Association really suggested to the NFL they needed to revise these rules, or there would probably be legal ramifications if they didn't. So I'm guessing, based on what I heard, that people shared some thoughts and information what would be best for all parties involved. NFL decided to re-clarify what constituted a NFL facility, among other topics. So like JMO's situation, the bet was placed while he was at an away game and in a hotel room. So he was just sitting in his room. Does that really, constitute an NFL facility? And obviously it no longer does.
Right. And the players themselves didn't know. They took that poll of the NFL players about the rules, and like a lot of people didn't know. A lot of the players didn't know exactly what the rules were, especially the rookies. Since the NFL got rid of the league-wide rookie symposium, a lot of that stuff kind of just falls on the team. And if you don't have someone to explain it, clear and precise, you're gonna have issues like that.
Right. I'm sure, as you all know, we don't do an incredibly long morning segment or anything. If you get 10, 15 minutes out of it, you're really pushing it. But before we let you get out of here, Hitman, let me ask you, what are your thoughts overall on the Detroit Lions now after watching the Green Bay game?
Man, it's tough, physical, gritty, like all those superlatives that the Lions people been trying to use as far as Dan Campbell and how the team is actually coming to fruition on the field. They're just beating people up. I mean, the Lions are the bullies of the division now, on both sides of the ball, the offensive line, the defensive line. They're playing physical, they're playing tough, and the villain role is coming around. Where you saw those blue masks in Green Bay. We're not shying away from it. We're not taking that the troll from the Seahawks. We're still the villains, and we're still going to play that way going forward. And what Dan Campbell said, if you're about going from being the hunted to the hunter to the hunted, He said, we're going to be hard to find. We're going to be on your porch when you open the door. So I'm loving what we got going on in Detroit right now.
I do like the fact that the Green Bay Packers organization put out a press statement about selling tickets to basically non-Packers fans, and some of their thoughts on that is what it is. But I think probably most Lions fans were really floored by how many traveled to that game. And then obviously the post-game show where you can hear everybody singing the fight song and stuff like that. That's just something I never thought I'd see. So anywho, but all right. So we got 10 minutes in for you guys. We answered a few questions. If you guys I'll give you about 20 seconds here. If you got any questions for either of us, go ahead and throw it in the comment section. Otherwise, we can probably wrap up this morning's video and counting down here. Don, anybody? Donkey, anybody? Mr. Nico? All right. Fair enough. Well, that's been a wrap then for this morning's show. Steele, thanks for coming on in. Like I said, I don't do the long ones, so get in, get out, and get to my morning Mountain Dew. So tell us everybody where they can find you and look you up and check out some of your content.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. You can just go to kurtsteele.com. That's where you can find my content, and you can find links to my articles on Sideline Report, formerly of Yard Barker. Some of the archives are over there as well on my homepage, and you can find my YouTube link right there on kurtsteele.com, the homepage.
One last question for you before you roll on out of here. If you were Brad Holmes right now, is there any area of the team you would address to make a legitimate playoff push at a Super Bowl?
Is there I would definitely look at maybe solidifying like the depth on the offensive line, just for the, got a little dicey there, bringing in Sorsdahl, as a rookie. Not saying he didn't play well, but the offensive line depth definitely will be one of those things where I would probably address, bringing in a veteran tackle, saying to come in and fill that spot. But to play behind either swing tackle, play behind either Decker or Sewell. But those two guys, man, they're tough, gritty, man. I love Penei Sewell, man. He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite Lions.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for this morning's show. We'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care.